Moto fans, let's break down Austin Forkner's catastrophic wreck. It's hard to watch. The bounce off the cement. Here, we'll slow this down. And this individual, if he didn't have bad luck, he would have no luck at all. It's unfortunately a synonym for his career where things just compile and they go from bad to worse. He'll have some small breakthroughs and then take one step forward, 10 back. Watch what happens here. He cases this triple-ish step over, and he's in a good body positioning. His connection with the foot pegs, he's in the attack position. He's leaned forward. He's able to soak up the kick. However, watch his left hand here. Loses it instantaneously, and from that point on, it was SOL, lights out for Forkner. And what really is bad is him being upside down here and the crushing inertia from not just landing on your back, but just the forces. And watch how he hits. Oh, that is so bad. And I heard rumors from people that were telling me at the hospital that his contact came out. And it was so far-fetched that I didn't want to post anything about it until he actually confirmed it. Hold and behold, saying that his contact came out halfway through the race, which means that he was able to ride with only one contact for about 40% of the main event because this happened with 2 minutes to go. And unfortunately, he fractured his lumbar with L3 and L4 and broke his scapula. Those are some serious injuries, and thank goodness he doesn't have to have surgery. But if we watch this again, if I have to analyze anything, it has to be right here. How he soaks it up and he loses the handlebar. And to me, is that lack of strength, or is that just him being loosey-goosey on the motorcycle? Or is it just simply bad luck? I'm going to go with it's bad luck and maybe a little bit on the strength. It's always baffled me that these guys have roost guards, but they wear no spinal protection whatsoever. I get the whole aspect of less is more when it comes to be able to move, but a chest protector that is on your chest and having some piece of plastic on your back, it's not going to add that much inability to move, but it could help with some certain crashes. I'm not saying that it's going to help with a crushing blow like this. No, he was going to get hurt regardless. However, could it have helped a little bit? I tend to believe that a little bit of back protection along with the front protection, along with sometimes some shoulder protection, not the neck braces. I think the neck braces do inhibit way too much, but having the old school chest protectors can help. They can take some of the force. Even having that plastic chest protector could have taken some of that force from it. Not the crushing blow, but just some of it. And if we continue to watch this, and we see that he gets up on his own and he's in a neck brace. There's so much going on with the internet when it says, why isn't he in a backboard? Why isn't he in a backboard? Yes, the initial reaction is, why isn't he in a backboard? What I've heard from the people and the personnel around is Forkner wanted to get up on his own. He was able to, and basically, as a medical professional, if people don't want your help, you can't forcefully give it. That's just the country that we live in. These riders, they are tough as nails. Maybe, if I'm hypothetically speaking, maybe he just wanted to prove that he was not paralyzed. He knew he was hurt, but wanted to get up on his own 2 feet, show the crowd that he's not paralyzed. However, there is that fine line that I'm not going to disagree with people when it comes to when you see something like this, maybe it's better to be overly cautious than listen to what the rider has to say because of how bad that was. But we live in a country where we're able to do what we want to do. We can say what we want to say, and if you want to tell the medical personnel that is helping you and deny their help, that is up to you as well. You are removing liability. You could say that he's not in the right frame of mind, concussion-wise and whatnot. So I don't really have an answer for that. I am just relaying what I have heard is that Forkner did not want to be on a back stretcher. It's the same thing where if I'm putting it in my own terms, there's been times when medical personnel say, hey, you have to get in that ambulance. And you go, nope, that's 10 grand. Nope, that's $1,000. I will meet you at the hospital. I'm going to drive my ass myself to save some money. Is that wrong? Potentially speaking, because you could have internal bleeding, you could have all sorts of stuff. But in this case, it was my decision not to get in those vehicles. I am a little bit on the fence when it comes to this scenario, and I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure you WFO that like button and subscribe button. These obstacles took out quite a bit of guys. We see McAdoo, as he cases it, does the same thing. He's able to soak it up. Front wheel slams into the next lip, and he gets rebounded and almost crashes, but he's able to save it. And how was he able to save it? Well, his hands didn't fall off the handlebar like what happened with Forkner. And that has happened multiple times throughout the night to different riders. We have Anstie over jumping the step over, and it works out better than what happened to McAdoo and Forkner because he's going long and he's landing in a pocket rather than casing it. It's still somewhat of the same impact that happened to McAdoo. His body positioning is more centered on the motorcycle, so he's able to soak it up, and it's not such an abrupt kickback like it was with McAdoo here, where he cases it. Then his body positioning goes from way back on the bike to now forward to boom. Quite a bit different of a scenario when we're talking about Anstie going long. If we switch just a little bit to Jett, this is on the step over after the whoops, where I talked about how it was going to turn into be one line, and these riders are going to drift from inside to outside, which is crazy because you're going to create ruts that are not straight. They are going to be angled, and that's what happened with Jett here. Is he lands perfectly, he's sitting down, he's getting ready for a preload triple, but because you're landing into ruts that are sideways, well, what happened to him? Front wheel was in a different rut versus where the back wheel was. It just swings him over. He ends up auto-correcting in the air. However, there's not that much room on a Supercross track when you're already riding the edge, and he lands on the tough block. Is this a pressure situation from Cooper Webb, or was this simply just overriding the track because the track was getting gnarlier? I want to almost go with the latter because he had a decent lead going on, and I believe he should have been able to maintain it. When you're used to running the ragged edge, sometimes the track is just going to bite you, where it did to multiple guys. I'll get with what happened to Tomac here, where he's just overriding the forces against him in the motorcycle because there's just so much G-forces for these bikes. But this was simply just a cross rut compiled from inside to outside. Somewhat of panic set in for Jett as he was trying to still win the race, which a couple laps, or if Freeze wasn't here, he would have been able to punt Webb, and he would have been able to implement Cooper Webb's own strategy with don't win the entire race, all you have to do is lead the last lap. But Freeze got in the way here, and Jett ended up running into Freeze and crashing. Why Freeze is in the main line, I don't freaking know. He should be over on the other side because where he's at is right where everyone funnels in, and if you're being lapped, that's just one of those things where you want to say wrong place, wrong time for Jett, but truthfully, it was wrong place for Freeze. Freeze shouldn't have been there, especially on the last lap. Perfect segue to Tomac overriding the track and going down. He did say that he lost his hand, and that's what created the crash. I will break it down just a bit further. However, this seems to me like the catalyst that brought out the beast mode. I've been saying it for a few weeks now that Tomac is a pressure cushion. It's eventually going to pop, and this might have been the scenario that unleashed the beast, and we saw Tomac go from 11th, 14th, something back up to 2nd. If we watch what happened, there's a few things that come into mind. First, he's not in the normal rhythm. He didn't triple, double. He went double, triple, and what these guys do is to try to pass and get ahead of guys is they jump into the corner. He's not making technically really a mistake to over jump the triple into this corner. It's just faster. It's just faster. And the bikes are set up. They've got stiff suspension. They're able to take those impacts. But watch Tomac's front wheel. He is trying to turn down, and right there, that's when he loses it, is because he's not riding a wide line. He's trying to still get around the MCR rider, which I believe is Freeze here, overriding the forces of inertia against him. And what happens? That motorcycle stands right back straight up. It catches, and that, boom, is right where Tomac ends up losing the grip, and he just leans down. Just simple little high speed. The tough block is there, so it's able to hold him. But an overview of really happened here is him trying to turn down that motorcycle and it grabbing. Him riding over the track. He's riding, pushing that motorcycle further than what it's literally capable of doing. And that's what we love to see about Tomac and these guys. Moving to the T-bones that happen here, you've got Jett and Ando. Jett just comes in and straight up T-bones Anderson. Anderson looks over at him like, WTF, mate? And you've got Jett going, hey, sorry, I think he literally takes his hand off and he goes, hey, man, I didn't mean to do that. You notice that he actually is using his clutch hand because he's not going to take his hand off on the front brake because that could potentially be a problem in itself. Keeping myself from digressing, you've got Anderson, who starts off on the far outside. His line is to cut down. It's not to go wide. Jett's line is to block him and push him wide. So the lines come together. This was not intentional. This was just potentially on Jett's part, just over pushing the scenario where he probably should have known that Anderson was going to cut down out of all the deep ruts, not ride the berm, and the lines just come together. Where if we watch what happened with Deegan, the same scenario is happening where you've got Forkner on the way outside, but his plan is to continue railing the outside, where Deegan's just going to come up and try to take the line away. Very different executions between Anderson and Forkner. One guy is going outside in. The other rider is just continuing to keep their momentum up by railing the outside. Deegan's was more intentional than Anderson's, 1,000%. He went in there to make contact and make the pass, where Jett came in not necessarily wanting to make contact, just taking the inside from him. We have to talk about the ghost ride. We know it's technically illegal and against the rules, and he has been told continuously that he cannot unleash that motorcycle off the finish line and have that bike go 200 feet in the air, potentially injure a photographer, a videographer, a flagger, another rider, or worst case scenario, a fan. It's one of those things where the sport is going to remember both. Yes, did his dad do it better? 1,000%. And was it the only Supercross that his dad won? Yes. Is this going to be the last Supercross that his son Hayden wins? Absolutely no. This is just the start, but very special for him to eject the bike, and he could have done it. It could have been way more spectacular. So yeah, it in hindsight doesn't look near as cool as what his dad did, but he prevents himself from getting a gnarly fine. I don't see any penalties associated with this, and I think it would be somewhat silly to associate a penalty for that because it was basically in a controlled environment. But till next time, everyone, keep it WFO. Ba-ra-da-da-da.